This weekend is the 5th annual Fentanyl Awareness event in Mankato. Aaron Stuvey has more about the event and the state of the community's fight against overdoses.
In 2021, the Gustafson family was rocked by the sudden death of their son Travis, who died from an accidental fentanyl overdose. Since then, the family has worked to keep Travis's memory alive through the Travis James Gustafson Foundation, an effort to spread awareness of the dangers of the drug and how it can show up when least expected. This Sunday will be the 5th year of the Fentanyl Awareness event in Mankato. It brings together families who've been affected by the drug to share their stories, sharing resources and things like Narcan along the way. For Travis's family, it brings together a community of people who know each other far too well.
And we can talk to other people and they can say, oh, I can't imagine, which they cannot. But these families know us, they know our pain. So when we get together, it's just it's a comfort to have, you know, the other grieving families.
The fight against fentanyl has ramped up, and the average number of deaths is overall lower than when Travis lost his life. But the problem is nowhere near solved.
We're still seeing the overdoses, unfortunately. You know, the community is starting to come together to combat the pandemic that we have. I think the awareness is getting out there and people are understanding, you know, the effect this is having on our community.
The awareness event begins at noon this Sunday at Erlinson Park in Mankato. Aaron Stuvey, KUYC News Now.